Hi everyone, I'm Mike, Michael Morco from Internals. And yeah, I'm from the App Batch Jumpstart. And hi, so this is going to be a very simple tutorial on how to use OBS, specifically how to stream stuff that's more catered to JMA work. So generally, when we're talking about streaming, there are a lot of possible mediums to use. Like the more famous ones are OBS and Streamlabs. There are others like ShareX, Bandicam, Wondershare, Demo Creator, but some of those are paid, I'm not really sure. Generally, the rule of thumb here is to go with what's popular. Generally, because the more people, generally that means the more support and the more active forums. So I would recommend using OBS or Streamlabs when streaming because it has a very robust community and it has lots and lots of features. Okay, so requirements for streaming. Generally, when we're talking about streaming, you would want a computer that's very powerful. So there's no cap as to how much power, but I think it's just very important to just talk about the minimum. Because when you're talking about streaming, normally, even the oldest or most weak, quote-unquote, weak computers and laptops now can stream. It's just a question of how poorly the stream quality is. So if you're talking, you want like 720p, 30 frames per second, or like 1080p, which is the sweet spot if you ask me, or all the way to 4K, 60 frames per second, your mileage may vary depending on your specifications. So when it comes to specifications, it's important to look at generally everything, specifically your CPU, GPU, and RAM. So what are those? So CPU, Central Processing Unit. So this is yung i5 cores or i7. I'm not really sure about Ryzen, but I think Ryzen 5 above, okay naman. Generally, when we're talking about good streaming quality, you'd want i5 above, so i5, i7, i9, or Ryzen 5 above. But what's more important in streaming, if you ask me, is the GPU, the Graphics Processing Unit. So essentially, what is a GPU? The Graphics Processing Unit is another sort of, I'd say you can say, a processor. It's a processor that's designed for parallel processing and stuff like that. So generally, Intel says that the GPU is used in a wide range of applications, including graphics and video rendering. So when we're streaming, we're technically like rendering graphics and stuff. So a GPU is very, very important as well. RAM, on the other hand, random access memory, that's another component of a laptop that's very of the PC that you need when it comes to streaming, because memory will dictate how much your laptop can handle, essentially. A RAM will be where you're going to dump all of the temporary files that you're going to use, or temporary files that the streaming platform is going to use to make sure that your stream is smooth, yeah. So generally, those are the three components of the computer that you need to look at. For CPU, yeah, I recommend i5, i7, Ryzen 5 above. For GPU, I'm not really sure about this. I will say that it would be better to have a dedicated graphics processing unit. I personally use an integrated one, meaning it's integrated with the CPU and it does get really hot really fast. So I would recommend any sort of external GPU. For RAM, I think 8 is a decent benchmark. Like 8 gigabytes of RAM is okay. But if you can, 16 gigabytes of RAM is way, way better. And yeah, I think it's very cheap naman, like relatively cheap nowadays, RAM. Okay, another thing when we're talking about requirements for streaming is I think one question that's important to answer is laptop or PC. So obviously a laptop is more portable and most of us have laptops because it's very portable, and for college people that's everything. But if you're going to stream, I would recommend using a PC instead. Why? Okay, so generally because of a thing called thermal throttling. What happens here is even if your laptop and a PC will have the same specifications, have the same CPU, GPU, RAM, a PC rather would be able to run or stream for longer periods of time and better, mainly because it does not heat up as fast as a laptop, because a laptop doesn't really have a lot of space to work with, and fans are very slow on laptops compared to PCs, I believe. So personally, I'd say a PC is better for streaming because of thermodynamics, because of how the PC components are arranged. So yeah. Okay, so now that we have a basic understanding of the mediums used to stream, and we also know the requirements for streaming. Let's actually get into it. So first, what you need to do is you need to download your streaming software of choice. I personally use OBS, specifically because this is what we use for Cosmos. Shout out to Ops IT. So yeah, just go through the normal download process. So that's Windows or Mac OS, ganon, and it'll install normally. Piece of cake. One other thing that you'll need to download, by the way, is this thing on GitHub. I started it here. So you'll need this thing called an you'll need this OBS-NDI 4.9.1. So essentially what this is, it's a way for OBS to access NDI materials. Okay, so what is an NDI? A network device interface, or NDI, is essentially a way for OBS to capture a person's camera feed on Skype. So why Skype and not, say, Zoom or something like that? Generally, it's because Skype allows people to use NDIs. Zoom does not, unless you're using Zoom Enterprise or something. So that's why I'm going to be using Skype today, because it allows for direct capture of NDI. So after you download this is a very simple download. I'll provide the link na lang. What you'll need to do is you'll need to go to Skype. So you'll need to go to settings and then calling. Then afterwards, you can go to advanced. And once you're here, you'll see this setting called allow NDI usage, or you just need to toggle that on. So essentially what this does is it allows anybody on your computer network to see the camera feed and the audio feed on Skype. So that's generally the setup for Skype. It's that simple. You will need to restart your computer, I believe, to actually allow this NDI thing at first. So yeah, then you can also set the watermark to top right, top left, and just keep it. Normally, we just keep it at the top right corner. Okay, so those are the requirements. Those are the things that you'll generally need installed. So let's now go to the OBS interface. Okay, so what we have here is the general layout for OBS. So you have preview and program. So you have preview and you have program. And then you have all of these other windows. Now, for other users, the preview screen is not normally seen. So what you can do is you can just right click and then toggle preview on. Yeah, that's basically it. Okay. So here you will see two screens, the preview screen and the program screen. So what's the difference? Basically, the difference here is whatever's on the program screen is what can be seen in the stream itself, and whatever's in the preview screen, as the name suggests, is just a preview. Only the person doing the stream, the streamer, can see it. And then, as you can see, there's a transition button in the middle. So essentially, this is just a quick way of saying, okay, so whatever's on the preview, I want it to go to the program. Yeah, we can demo that later. Okay, we can demo that in a bit. Now we have other windows such as scenes, sources, audio mixer, scene transitions, and controls. Okay, so scenes, this is essentially like, in PowerPoint, you have specific slides, right? You have a header, you have like a subheader, like different slides. This is essentially the same thing. So for example, you have scene, I can add another one. Okay, so as you say, let's say hosts, and then we can add another one. Let's call this N. Okay, so now we have three scenes. So for example, if I were to add a specific image here, and that's what the sources screen is for, sources window rather. So for example, there you can just put it in. And as you can see, it goes directly to sources and it goes here to the preview screen. And as you can see, it's not, it doesn't fit the screen. So what you can do here is you can just do Control F and it will immediately fit the screen. Or you can just right click and transform and then fit the screen. See Control F to fit the screen. So as we mentioned before, anything in the preview screen can only be seen by the streamer. Okay, so now, as you can see, there's a transition button here. So when I click it, anything here on preview will go to the program screen, like that. Okay, so that's the scenes, and sources are generally self-explanatory. You put your stuff here, you put the stuff here. And then there's also the audio mixer. So this is in tandem with the sources. So you put it in sources, and then if it's an audio, if it's an MP3 or an MP4 file, you will be able to fix the audio here in the audio mixer. Scene transitions. This is where you're able to add custom transitions. This isn't super important if you're already using the transitions here in between preview and program. And then controls are just the basic controls that we can use to start streaming, recording, and even start a virtual camera. Okay, so now that we know all the windows, let's do a more concrete example. So now here at scene, we added sample title screen.png right now, and then we've already placed it into the program, right? So let's say we want to make a new scene, for example, posts. We can go here and then we can add. I made a template for this already. Scene one. Okay, there we go. So this is just a general sample layout. So as you can see here, it's just the red background and then 3 boxes here. And then you'll notice there's 2 boxes here at the top that are colored black. Essentially, this actually isn't colored black, it's actually transparent. That's important because when you're going to add a camera feed or any sort of feed, you don't want it to be over the layout, because what happens there is it doesn't look nice. So generally, you have to use a .png file so you can access these transparent stuff, and you can add items. Like for example, like for example, if I add this picture of the Thames, as you can see, it's just there. But if I put it under scene 1, everything is hidden except for those that are in this transparent field of scene 1.png. Okay, so now let's go to adding actual camera feeds. So for example, so if you're going to add stuff to the window, you can do so here. You can just press the plus, and then there's a audio input capture, audio output capture, browser, color source, all of these good things. Specifically, what you're going to be needing if you're going to get a camera feed is the NDI source, and this is how we're going to get it from Skype. You just click NDI source and say, okay, let's create one right now, JMaster 1, and then it will ask me for the properties. So under source name, you can just go here, and then as you can see, there are options here. These are options because I've already connected NDI to OBS, to Skype specifically, and OBS can now access that. So there's local, live, active speaker, and then these two. These two are people. Active speaker is whoever is talking. Local is you, the streamer yourself. So let's click this one. Then there we go. So as you can see, it's just a Skype logo right now. So I think, can you guys please turn on your cameras and see what happens? Okay, there we go. Okay, so as you can see, it's not perfect right now. Like this is very easily fixed. You can just go to transform and rotate 90 degrees clockwise. There you go. Then you can just freely edit that, like as big or as small as you want. Another thing that you can do here is, actually another thing that you should do is go into transform again. Yeah, you need to go to transform again, click edit transform. And then here, you have to change it to scale inner bounds. Okay, so you need to change it to scale to inner bounds because normally it's set to no bounds or stretch to bounds. And what happens there is if the video feed compresses or enlarges, the actual shape also changes. So if we do not change that, if, for example, Max's Wi-Fi went really bad, it will go really small. And then if it goes back to being normal, it will go really big. So, you don't want that variable to change whenever you're streaming, right? So you just have to change it to inner bounds. And then there you can set it like that. And then you can put it under scene 1 so it matches. So it's a very clean cut. Let's add another one. Okay, source. And if for some reason they're not showing up, like if you're on a Skype call already and they're not showing up, generally what you need to do is you'll just need to restart OBS. That's general. So this is a normal scene if you have like a post or something. And then, for example, from the main scene, from the scene with the more with marketing sticker, you can just press transition. And this is what can be seen in the stream now. Okay. So if you guys want to add a video file, it's generally the same process. So you just have to click plus on sources and then media source, because an MP4 is a media source. So let's say I want to add this video, and then it will prompt me to this window. It will ask for where should I look for it. Okay, there we go. So this one is an old JMA video that I had to download for the rec campaign. Okay, so as you can see, it's still blank everywhere. If it's like this, sometimes you just have to click transition and it will show up. So yeah, that's the video. And then you can freely resize this also, just like everything else. Another thing you can do is like, there's a lot of settings here. Like for example, under properties, you can check loop, all that stuff. And then it'll just keep on looping. It will never end. So that's generally the basics of how to manipulate and how to put stuff in OBS. So now, before we move on to the more advanced things, let's actually talk about how to put your stream up. Okay, so I'll go to the browser first. Okay. So what you'll need to do is go to facebook.com, because obviously when we're streaming, that's generally where we're at. What you'll need to do here is you have to set up your Facebook page first, obviously. So for me, I have this page called Test Mine, where I test stuff when I want to go live, or when I'm streaming, or when I need to stream. So as you can see here, yeah, that's Cosmos. Okay, so what you can do here is you can just press live, and from here, okay, give it. Okay, there you go. Okay, so what you'll need to do is a title is required. So let's just say JMaster demo. Oh, sorry. Before that, you can choose publish a test broadcast. So what this does is it hides it from everyone else. Only admins of the page can see it, and it's very useful if it's just a test stream. Okay, so title, say JMaster demo. Let's just Lauren Ipsum list, and then there you go. This is the general things you'll need, and then you have to click stream key. I think by default it goes to use camera. When you just say use camera, it will just use your video feed. But what we'll want is a stream key. And then if you scroll down, you'll want to toggle use a backup stream also. So what this does is it generates a backup stream key that somebody else can use. So for me, since I'm the main streamer, I'm going to use the stream key. And then, for example, if I have somebody else who's streaming, you give them the backup stream key. What this does is it allows. Okay, so what this does is essentially whenever the main stream goes down, the backup stream will go up, and vice versa. So essentially, this is a way to make sure that no matter what happens, the show goes on. So like I said, you copy the stream key, then you go back into OBS, then File, Settings, and then in Settings, you have to edit the stream key before we actually start recording. Okay, so under the stream panel, this space, this new stream key there, you can see that's it. And then click apply, then okay. From there, we can actually now start streaming. So press the start streaming button. And then we're not live yet. So as you can see, Facebook is saying, okay, it's connecting. And as you can see, there is a sample here. So after that, you can press start test and you reach more people. No, thank you. Let's just go live. Okay, so here, Facebook will then show you a lot of things like visibility, video, audio, actions. This is generally just showing you how healthy your stream is. So I think if you scroll down. Okay, so if you go to stream health, it'll actually show you the statistics of how your stream is going. So there, as you can see, there's the video bitrate, the frame rate, and the audio bitrate. So from here, what we can see is that it's streaming pretty well. It's constantly 30 frames per second, and the video bitrate is also good. So that means that the quality is pretty decent. But as you can see, audio bitrate is low at 3 kbps. That's because we haven't added an audio source yet. So for example, if I want to add my voice into the stream, I'll need to add an audio input capture. And I have to select my personal microphone. Then when I transition back into this one, as you can see, when I talk, this audio input capture bar moves. So if I stop talking, it just catches the ambient noise. And as you can see, there's also two here, JMaster 1 and JMaster 2. That's from before. So if Max or Pao, if you guys can unmute and say a few words. So as you can see, both of them light up. And when they both light up, they're always the same. What does that mean? Okay, because NDI, as smart and as great as it is, it captures the same audio. So everything on that call will be heard here. So right now, since JMaster 1 and JMaster 2 are toggled on, there will be an echo on the stream. So whenever you're using an NDI, you just have to enable one. The other ones, you have to disable. Oh, hi, Pa. Okay, so that's the basics of how to put your stream up. And as you can see, I think this is a Wi-Fi problem right now. We tapped all the way down to 6 frames per second. Now we're back up to 24 frames per second. That's to be expected if you're using a laptop, I'd say. Generally, it's better for a PC. Oh, also one additional thing. If whenever possible, use a LAN cable. So that's a cable that directly connects from your computer to your ISP that directly connects to your Wi-Fi router, because this is very, very important when talking about streaming quality, because normally when you're getting Wi-Fi over a wire, it's more stable compared to just, normal Wi-Fi. Okay, so now that we've talked about general how to put stuff on the stream, we can talk about the more advanced options. When it comes to these two options, the first one that I want to talk about would be personalized transitions. So as you can see here in scene transitions, there's fade, there's swipe, there's slide, there's fade to color, luma wipe, and those are all great and all. But sometimes when you're doing an event or something, you want it to be on brand, on theme, right? So that's where Stinger comes in. Stingers are a fancy way of saying personalized transitions. So you just have to click Add Stinger, and let's say I'll say demo Stinger just for this one. And then it'll ask me to add a video file. Now, sadly, I can't make the video file right now because I don't have the necessary tools. It's just Adobe Premiere Pro and After Effects. You can search it up. It's very, very fast. You just have to download it in .mov because you'll need some of it to be transparent as well. Okay, so here I have a demo file that I made for, I believe, Gig Night last semester. So if I press preview transition, as you can see, it's a custom transition, but it's not aligned with the scene transition. So if you will check, it changes scenes before the transition takes up the entire screen. So generally what you want to do here is you have to change the transition point. I think 1500 should do. This is in milliseconds, I believe. I'm not sure. And then when I press preview transition, as you can see, we press just up. Let's go 1750. So now that we have that, we can just add it here to quick transitions, demo Stinger. And for example, this is what it looks like. So that's a personalized, that is a personalized transition. Generally, you just need Premiere Pro and After Effects for this, and you need to download it in .mov because .mov supports transparent pixels, because .mov supports transparency, .mp4 does not, sadly. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you guys is how to put comments in, because from Facebook, people are going to comment, and when they comment, you want to put it into your stream, right? So the way to do this is you have to go to streamlabs.com. I'll just search up Streamlabs here. It's the best free live streaming software. We're not going to be using Streamlabs. We're just going to be using one of their widgets. So what you'll need to do here first is you need to connect your Facebook account, and you have to say specifically to which page are you going to use this widget. Okay, so here we go. So this is the dashboard of Streamlabs. All you need to do is go down here to Facebook pages, and then click the page in which you will be using. So you can use your main Facebook account. So if I'm streaming and it's under my account, I'll go there. But for example, for this one, it's paired with this page called Test Mine. So that's what I'm going to be selecting here. Press Save Preferences, and then here you can now go to All Widgets. Under All Widgets, you'll see Alert Box, Chat Box, Event List, Donation Goals. Generally, they all work the same way. So we're just going to be focusing on Chat Box here. So just click Chat Box. From here, there are a few presets. I'm just going to be using this basic one. So as you can see, it's the name, it's the comment, it's everything that we technically need already. So these are just some CSS settings, some things that we probably need to edit if you're doing anything. This will work. Generally, what you'll just need to do is you need to copy this URL under widget URL, then go back to your OBS streaming software. And from here, you need to add another object, and that object is called browser. And then from here, you just have to paste that URL that you just copied onto the URL field. And then width and height is not really very important. Just be mindful of the aspect ratio. Like for example, this specific chat box is, I believe, 2:1. So if our width is 800, our height has to be 400 or anything like that. Because the aspect ratio is there. Custom CSS, that's just for changing the colors, the style, the font, stuff like that. So you just have to press OK. And let's see where that is. So as you can see, there's this red outline here. So I'm just going to resize it to match, well, semi-match the yellow box. And I will transition it back. And then all we need to do is go back to Facebook. There, so this is our stream right now. We're quote-unquote live. There is going to be a delay depending on your Wi-Fi and your laptop. So for me personally, it's 10 seconds. So that's quite a lot. But yeah, so as you can see, it just updated. So if I were to go and comment using my phone, so it might not appear immediately details stream, but if you go back to OBS, as you can see, my comments are showing up there. So that's basically it. It's very easy to set up, but it's technically a very advanced feature when you're outside of this OBS loop. So the moment I send it, it should generally appear now. The thing here is it does pass through a lot of stuff, so it does degrade the quality of the stream by a little bit, maybe because it's going from because if you think about it, from Facebook it goes to Streamlabs, and then from Streamlabs it goes to OBS, and then from OBS it goes all the way back to Facebook. So it takes a while. So yeah, it might be very slow from time to time, but generally it's a great way to use it. And then there are other ways, like there are other widgets that you can use, but generally that's the general flow of it. You just have to add it, and then it's a browser. Then when you add it, select the browser option, because essentially these are these are essentially working on the internet. You just put them into the program. So that's it for the chat box. And then when you want to end the stream, you just click stop streaming, and it will stop streaming on Facebook as well, I believe. You can also press end test broadcast to be safe. As you can see, we actually did dip in quality. That's to be expected if you're using a laptop that's running a lot of things, like it's running Skype, Zoom, OBS all simultaneously. So whenever you're going to stream, I would say all the unnecessary apps, you have to close them, and preferably just use your phone for like Messenger or Telegram, because it'll help free up memory and performance, and help in the performance of your laptop, of your computer. Okay, so that's it for the general basics of OBS, specifically for JMAers. Special shout out to Ops IT Cosmos, Laura, Luca, Ale, Alex, Moy. Yeah, thank you guys. We all learned this in like a span of 2 months, I think, all for Cosmos. So yeah, thanks for having me, JMASterclass, and good luck.